Welcome to Sports by Compian. My name, of course, is Stephen Compian, a.k.a. the main chef in the kitchen. And I'm joined here by friend of the show, co-host, handsomest motherfucker to approach this mic, Dan Gill. Dan, how are you today, sir?
I'm great, buddy. How you doing?
Oh my god, dude, you're looking so dapper today. Jeez, is that Nola Gold little fucking singing on the right there? The big one?
No, that's my college one.
Okay. Oh, yeah. What was it? What's her name again? Towson? Towson. Good old Towson rugby. Hell yeah. But hey.
I was talking to someone about our trip over the weekend, so.
Oh, nice.
I had to show them the picture from our dress-up day, so we're going to break it back out.
Damn right. I was actually dressed up for a social just this last Saturday as a nice little pimp. It was excellent.
Oh, there you go. Speaking
of this previous Saturday, your Rockford Ravens traveled up to Oconomowoc, which is why you can see I have a proper shiner here, Dan. I was in a ruck and I caught myself ahead with my eye socket. I did win that particular ruck though, Dan. So in case you were wondering, did he lose the ball after getting hit in the face? No, is the answer. But Although I did win that ruck, Dan, the Ravens did fall to Oconomowoc Griffins. Yeah, I believe the Griffins. It is a rivalry. They managed to take a trophy away from us, which we will hopefully get back from the next season, the bastards. But this was a close game, Dan. For most of the game, it was pair and pair. Towards the second half, they put a little distance between us when they went up 27-10. Now, Dan, me and you have both been a part of Ravens teams that would have packed it in at that point, and it probably would have been a much more ugly score to end the day. The Ravens would have just been like, you know what, fuck it, let's just put in some extra time, and let's go drink some beers after this, you know? Not this Ravens squad, Dan. This Ravens squad battled back, man. They fought. We got a quick try out of Caleb, who ran through like fucking 5 people. Took the match honors because not only was he all over the field, Dan, making tackles absolutely everywhere, plus that try to run over like 5 people and score and put us back in the game. Dude, the dude was our moral heartbeat for the day. Runner-up for man of the match the previous 2 weeks, so it was only honorable that he take it this week. Great game out of the kid. He's really developing, dude. He's going to be an absolute fucking stud for us. But yeah.
That makes me happy to hear that. He's always been good.
He's turning it around, man. It's really good to hear.
Had to get it clicking, man.
It's awesome. He's really coming into his own, man. The guy's flying around the field. And then after that quick score from Caleb, your boy had probably one of his best kick runs as a Raven ever. You know, I've scored on runs before, but this one was beautiful, dude. I took a kickoff, hit the gap. I may have stiff armed somebody, and then I was running down there, and there was another guy, and I fucking juked the fuck out of him, dude. But unfortunately, I had to slow down a little bit to juke him, and somebody caught up to me. But we did ultimately score a couple plays later with Sean running all the way across the field. Down by 3, Dan. Very quick time, very close times. We're trying to kick and go quick. The scrums got a little messy. They had an old boy on their team who I believe was intentionally collapsing the scrum, according to Frank, and I believe my boy Frank more than I believe a lot of people. So, yeah, the frustration from the ref, who was a terrible sir all day, absolutely horrible. Eventually, he got frustrated, called the game with 3 minutes left, which I think is unacceptable in a game that we're only down by 3. It's fucking bullshit.
You can't be doing that.
Especially when we had the ball.
Was it the one from Lake County?
No, dude, but that guy's the absolute worst sir I've ever had in my life. But God, this guy was a close second, man. He was rough. So yeah, frustrating there. Ultimately, the Ravens didn't pull it off, but battled back, and they lost the game 27-24. We now travel down to the Quad Cities this coming week to hopefully get back in the win column, Dan. Any thoughts there for your former Ravens?
Yeah, no, I mean, you've been talking about on offline here that you guys do have good numbers. You guys are strong there, which is positive to hear. As we all know, traveling can be a little tough.
Oh, we did. We were only up there with 18 players.
So, I mean, that's promising better than some of those trips you and I have been on where you roll in with 15 and you're playing the full game. But, I mean, it's a young crew. A lot of guys that couldn't come back, me being one of them. And did some other things, people's jobs and whatnot. Have them on limited schedule. So, I think despite being such a young crew, you guys seem to be doing pretty well with it.
Very well, and it's exciting, man. We'll see what we can make of this come the fall. We're going to go a little bit quick here. That's it for the Ravens. Moving into, do you mind if we cover MLR first, since I have this game fresh in my mind?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Beautiful. So hopping into MLR, we're going to go right into the game that your boy was at. Your Chicago Hounds took on the NOLA Golds, and were absolutely handed their ass. Now, the score may show that this was a pretty close game, and honestly, it kind of was in the second half. But the first half, Chicago was struggling. Your boy Will Derling was there giving absolute shit to all the team, to the coaches, and he is sitting right on their sideline. So they absolutely heard everywhere my boy Derling had to say to them. And frankly, he wasn't saying anything but the truth. They were absolutely dominating the scrums all day. Their forwards couldn't tackle. Their backlines couldn't tackle. NOLA Gold just looked like they were having a field day out there, man. Just quick runs up the A-gap. For some reason, no one besides Mr. McLean Jones himself wants to tackle. Some good run to Dominguez. Absolutely ran one of the NOLA Gold kids over. But other than that, Chicago looked fucking lost in that first half, Dan, and the score shows it. It was fucking 5-31 at halftime. Granted, they did rally, and this is kind of what Chicago does. When they play the good teams, they lose, and they lose handily, but they somehow manage to put up a decent amount of tries. This second half was some legit rugby out of them. I think they outscored NOLA 17-6 in the second half, and it's like, can we just do this in the first half, boys? Like, can we not put ourselves in these crazy ass holes? Now, like some of the backups that came on there had some really good carries, some good kicks out of the 10 today. You know, he's been having some rough games, so it's good to see him have some good kicks. My boy McLean Jones had a bloody nose and was still running around making tackles all over the place. I fucking love that guy. I'm gonna get a signed jersey by him. Ultimately, the Chicago Hounds fall to NOLA Gold. Still looking for that first win. I mean, that second win, Dan. But they're not going to find it against the NOLA Gold, and I doubt they're going to find it when the Ironworkers come, when they go to visit the Ironworkers, or the Ironworkers come to visit them May 13th. Although they are on the road next. The Toronto Arrows actually put up quite a fight against the Seattle Seawolves. Did you see this one, Dan? Or hear about it?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I looked at the scores over the weekend. Unfortunately, I was in Florida for the better part of last week, into the early parts of the weekend due to a wedding. So I did miss Saturday's slate, and then Sunday was at a baseball game.
No worries.
But anyway, I was running the scores back. I was very surprised. Now, Seattle's not the team that they were last year. Toronto's not the team that they were.
They look like they were to start the year, but now they're definitely seem to be falling off the rails.
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting to see that one team didn't take over the other. I mean, Toronto is disproportionately off compared, but there's still time. Seattle's, they're still in a spot to make a play later. So I wouldn't be too worried if I was them, but
yeah,
Toronto's got a tough hill to climb. DC's a team that turned around. They've been historically bad their first couple of years.
Yeah, DC was like at the very bottom last year, and then they go ahead and put it on the Utah Warriors. I think it's that DC offense, dude. Obviously, that scrum half they have. Is it Satola? Yeah. Something like that. Dude, the kid's fucking good.
He's unreal.
He makes that offense look so good.
Yeah, and then it looks like in the East there's a little bit of a turnover. Atlanta's typically towards the top of the table. NOLA Gold's towards the top of the table.
Yeah.
So right now, New England's running away with it over there.
Yep.
At this time, they're 7-2 with 34 points. DC's in second with 25 points and a 4-5 record. So there's still time to be had. Although they are running out of time, but wait and see. I think I was very impressed with Dallas' score. They're a team that has not been playing well. They got the first win this year.
Oh, yeah, how'd they do?
They lost to San Diego, but it was 47-38. So, lost by 9 is not bad.
That's not bad at all, especially against San Diego.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's a huge one for them. Like momentum maybe. That's a matchup I'm curious to see when Chicago takes on Dallas.
Well, they already played them once, and they won the first one. Well, they won the first one. We'll see if they can win the second one.
And then, New England.
Hold on, real quick about that New England-Atlanta game, because I did see some of the highlights on this one. Dude, Atlanta was up like 13-0. Atlanta was up 13-0 at one point in the first half, and they just absolutely gave it away to fucking... What am I looking for here, Dan? New England. They just gave it away to the Free Jackets. Yeah. The Free Jackets just come back with all kinds of momentum and just absolutely put it on them. But Atlanta had all kinds of opportunity to win this game.
Yeah, I think that's been kind of their story this year so far. They just can't finish a game.
Sucks.
I mean, the thing is, there's 5 teams that are 4 and 5 in the East. DC, New York, NOLA, and Atlanta, and they're all separated by a total of 5 points. So that door is wide open when it comes to that second seed. But Atlanta's got the worst point diff between that 5 swing at -20. So that's a tough one to overcome, especially if you're going to blow out the second half like that.
Dude,
there's not much you can do there.
Well, and New York is not looking like the New York we saw last year either. That's the main drop-off I've noticed so far. The SaberCats pull off a good win against them. They've kind of been up and down as well. I mean, this whole league has been up and down. I don't think there's a clear cut. I mean, obviously you got the Legion leading the way right now, but I don't know, man. These teams all seem really close. I think it's going to be a hell of a playoff, hell of a final that we see.
I think it's going to be a hell of a push to the playoffs, and then, the playoffs should be very competitive.
For sure.
In terms of who makes it, and then,
next year
Miami comes in.
It may sound stupid to say, and, it's not every week, obviously, but, teams like the Arrows, Chicago, and Dallas, they have close games. All 3 of them were relatively close in their games this week. So, it's just kind of very small differences, it seems like.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely seems like Dallas is getting it together more. Granted, yes, they got their first win, but their losses are a lot closer compared to what we've seen in the past. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for other teams, but yeah, I think in the next couple weeks it'll shake out pretty well. But I would like to see DC make it. They haven't made it yet to the playoffs.
That'd be interesting.
I'm a sucker for a first time in the playoffs, but also that's kind of my team, so
yeah,
gotta go there. Maybe I can catch a playoff game there.
Well, some exciting stuff coming up. Major League Rugby will continue, and we will be covering it. The one league we won't be covering today that is still going on is USFL, who just had their week 2. We are sort of in a rush today, so we will not be going through that because we wanted to have a good coverage here of the XFL that is headed into their semifinal week with having just wrapped up their regular season. Who do we got in the semifinals there, Dan?
Yeah, so Saturday's game is going to be Arlington at Houston. Houston's opening up at a 6-point favorite. Let's just be honest here. Houston's going to probably walk right over Arlington. They played each other the last week, over the weekend, and Houston beat them 25-9. I don't see that being overly competitive. It is in Houston.
Isn't this embarrassing honestly, this is kind of a bummer for the league that the Renegades are in this. Because I feel like with the way the Battlehawks play,
I'm going to get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to get to that. I'll get to
that. All right, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Don't worry, because when they played each other earlier this year, the first time, Houston still won 23-14, a little bit closer. I didn't have a chance to watch that game, so who knows if they were resting people. I don't know. Because by that point, Arlington had everything clinched. Houston had everything clinched. People weren't going anywhere, so, save the bodies for next weekend. And then the one that I might be going to on Sunday is Seattle at DC. I was at that game earlier this year in week 1 when DC had a stop on the goal line and won 22-18. And then they played each other later in the season. Similar situation, ran down to the wire and DC held on. So I think that we'll get a good matchup there. DC won 34-33 the second game. Now it's at DC, favored by 3. I think that's the most intriguing matchup. I hate saying it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe Arlington will shock us, but
no.
The fact that DC's, you never know. But the fact that DC has won by a combined aggregate score of 5. Here's the thing that concerns me about DC. They'll get up fast. They will get on you fast. They'll put the points up in the first half. They just lose the pedal in the second half and make it close. Because I was at the game against Arlington 2 weeks ago. They won in OT, but DC was up 20-9 at halftime.
What?
They scored 6 points in the second half.
Oh boy!
And
that's not playoff football, Dan. That's not playoff football.
That's not. But unfortunately, we've seen that time and time again with DC. Their defense, they have this knack of showing up at the right time in the right situations. So we'll see. That game was sold out that I went to 2 weeks ago. I would imagine this one will be the same. Great atmosphere. The beer snake was rocking. This time.
Hell yeah.
There was a situation.
Dad, you're cutting out there. You're cutting out a little bit, in and out there.
There's a situation heading into the last week where
yeah, no, you're still cutting pretty bad. Do you want to rejoin the call real quick while I do some quick reconnaissance on the things that you've been telling me about this real quick? Such as our boy Ben DiNucci playing on the DC Defender. Now, how will this go? I am actually really excited to see this because, obviously, as Dan has mentioned, the DC Defenders are far and away the better team here. But, man, we've seen some magic out of these Seattle Dragons, and I believe we will continue to see so. Dan, are you back? Are you alive?
Am I better now?
Yeah, you're a little quiet, but you are better.
I took my headphone off, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my AirPods. But yeah, no, there was a whole thing with going into the final week. So how the playoffs work for them is the top two teams in each division, the North and the South, make it in. And this is where, as we alluded to a little earlier, some people had controversy to how it would play out. So there was a 8-step playoff tiebreaker, and Seattle and St. Louis hit the 5th tiebreaker option to where it came to how points were scored. And
what?
Yeah, so the tiebreaker is the tiebreaker.
Fuck, dude, you're cutting out again.
Really? I tried to reset them.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is.
So the first.
That's
Here
better.
we go. How am I now?
Yeah, you're fine.
So the first tiebreaker was head-to-head. They split that series, so that's out the window. The winning percentage in division games matched out the window. Strength of victory in all games combined record of opponents and wins. And then the fourth one, best combined ranking among division teams in points scored and points allowed in all games.
Jeez.
So they had to get down to this one, which was best combined ranking among all teams, not just division teams.
Wow.
Teams, scored and points allowed in the game. So the problem with that is Houston, who won the South, had the same record as Seattle and St. Louis at 73. Yeah. So they had to get around Houston as well.
Huh.
So when it came to the point difference, so that just didn't happen. It really bites to see a team that averaged at least 33,000 not make the playoffs. A lot of people are pushing that they shouldn't have done divisions, and it's just, top 4 teams, doesn't matter, go in. Because if that was the case, it would be DC.
Be much more
DC
interesting.
1. Yeah, it probably would have been DC 1, Seattle 2, Houston 3, and St. Louis 4. See, so either way, here's the thing: there's no way St. Louis would have been hosting a game.
That's true.
That's
true though. They would have been on the road. You're absolutely right.
So, going from the standpoint of
I think it's more the problem of having just a semifinal. I think that's a little crazy. I think you need a third game.
I mean, so what? The top, so number 1 seeds get a bye, 2, 3 play each other.
Maybe one less bye, maybe one less normal week game, and then just go straight to that playoff game in the third week. And you're leaving 2 teams off of the playoffs. That's not that bad. So and hopefully as you develop as a league, there'll be more teams left off. But at least you're giving all your good teams a real chance here, and maybe you're giving a bad team a chance to see if they can turn on in the playoffs. Who doesn't want to see a Cinderella story?
No, absolutely. So, and here's the other criticism they got. It was so poorly explained how the tiebreaker scenario worked. Allegedly, during the whole first quarter of the Seattle game, the announcers were describing the scenario incorrectly.
Oh boy! So they were confused.
Go back. Yeah, they were confused. So it was not helping the cause. I mean, I watched the Seattle game, a good portion of it, just because I knew the tiebreaker, and I couldn't even figure out
what the fuck was going on.
What they needed.
So they need to simplify this. They need to make it a little simpler. Dan, I do want to actually cover the USFL real quick because I do have enough time if you do. So real quick, let's make our picks for this on the semifinals, and we'll move on to the USFL real quick. So Arlington and Houston, we're taking the Roughnecks here, right?
Yeah. I'm
DC and Houston. Yeah, I'm gonna go DC too. Those are your boys. I'd like to see them win. We've seen some magic out of the Dragons, but I do believe DC takes care of business at home. Pound the ball with your boy. What's that guy's name?
Tiamu.
No, the running back, Ibram.
Oh, King. Yeah. He's been a monster carrying the ball
all year.
Season.
A couple bad fumbles, but mostly he's been a monster. So just pound the rock with him.
Yeah, no, exactly. They'll stick to it, and their tight ends become good about checking down. So can't complain there.
Perfect. Well, anyway, that's the XFL. Let's check out this USFL action here real quick. So they just wrapped up week 2. Isn't this kind of a fun little transition for us? Right as the XFL is wrapping up, we'll just move right on into the XFL. How nice. So I already kind of covered week 1. Going into week 2 here, the Breakers are still winning. The Gamblers are still looking for their first win. High-scoring game here for the Breakers and Houston Gamblers. You'd love to see it as a newer league, right? I mean, that's the whole idea. Everyone wants to see offense, so good times. The Memphis Showboats got their asses absolutely handed to them by the defending champions. This was not a close game, Dan. I don't know if you noticed that.
The fact that they got is comical on that front. But
and you know what? I'm a little bit mad at the Memphis Showboats because not only are they one of the only teams that has this home stadium, but also they replaced the Tampa Bay Bandits. I realized after last podcast.
Yeah. They did, yeah.
All the Tampa Bay teams are gone from these semi-pro leagues these spring leagues. Kind of sad. Not like super sad, but you know.
My opinion was they should have left Tampa. They should have left Tampa in the USFL knowing that the XFL was getting out.
Right. One of you guys stay. Like, why are you guys both failing?
Yeah,
kind of weird.
I think the USFL needs to get out of Houston. It's not going to work there.
Well, they got too much. You can't be over there competing with the Roughnecks. You know, like what's the point?
The Roughnecks are doing too well that I don't think they'll compete.
Well, yeah, but they're 0-2 right now, so you're not exactly drawing fans.
And then we need a head-to-head matchup.
Dude, that would be fun. Let these leagues mature a little bit and start setting the champions at each other. That'd be fun. All right. So there's no reason to not do that, frankly. Anyway, New Jersey Generals versus the Maulers. Dude, what is it with the Maulers? They are 2 years in a row, and they still suck. The Jersey Generals find their first win of the season. Michigan Panthers hand the Philly Stars a loss. Philly Stars, who were in the championship last year, seem to be struggling to find their footing. They barely pulled out a win last week, and now they find themselves on the wrong end of it. Isn't it Jeff Fisher over there coaching for the Michigan Panthers?
He's gone.
He's gone? Oh, no wonder they're winning. Nah, just kidding, Jeff. We love you. Anyway, that's kind of the coverage of the. What's up?
A lot of these teams, the fortunate part that the XFL didn't have was a lot of these guys are back with their teams from last year. So,
yeah.
I mean, they would have picked the same guys to probably lead the pack.
Yeah.
Philly lost in the championship game last year. Did you know that Philly has been in every USFL championship game? All 4 of them.
All 4
Yeah.
of them? Hasn't there only been one? USFL isn't this year 2 for the USFL? Oh, I guess from what? Oh, back in the day. Okay.
Yeah. So one of them was when they were the Baltimore Stars.
Okay. So it's always about the Stars over there with Philly, huh?
Yeah. So, no, I think it'll be interesting. I think the one thing, and this has nothing to do with on field, it's disappointing to see the crowds. They have half You have half the stadium tarped off. Nobody's going to these games. It seems like if it's the host team is playing, then there's a little bit of a better attendance. But like when it's the secondary person, nobody's going.
Damn.
And it's hard for me to listen to someone say that the USFL is a better league than the XFL. I think at this point the level of play seems too similar to tell. I don't know what your opinion on that is, but in just sheer attendance numbers, they're nowhere near the XFL, and that was insane in 2020.
You know what I will say? The XFL just looks cooler. I don't know what it is about it, but everything from their website to the jerseys look cooler. If I'm just looking at it from pure aesthetics.
You can order your XFL jersey now.
Can you?
Oh yeah, I might do it. But no, I mean, it seems like the XFL markets to be like a more. I'm not saying USFL isn't friendly, but like they really hone in on things like the beer snake.
Yeah.
All these they have their the guys that dress up, they look like the dragons or a battle hawk guy. Like they really hone in on that.
Well, what they also did is they actually had teams playing in their stadiums. I mean, didn't the USFL just roll purely all the games were in Alabama last year? So it's like it's hard to create a fan base if they don't even have a home game.
Well, no, and that's why I said like this year they're in 4 different host cities, so at least 4 teams are playing in their home city or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So like those games seem to have a little bit better of an attendance. But when you have those secondary teams, playing in there, nobody's going to watch that. I mean, I swear I turned on a game during the first week. I think it was the Michigan-Houston game. It looked like there was like 30 people there.
Oh, shit.
Because
shit! Dan, I don't want this league to fold.
No, I don't either. That's why they need to push more of the teams out to their home markets.
Yeah.
So it becomes like
that's a good obviously. I guess it makes sense, so maybe it's cheaper for them stadium wise, but then you're not building the fan base, man. Really, these 2 leagues should just unite. I don't understand why there's 2 of them anyway. Like I'm all here for more of these guys having opportunities, but it's hard enough to create enough interest for a spring league. They don't need to be competing against each other. At least one's wrapping up as the next one's getting going.
Yeah, but if you merge it there, you instantly double the league. They're both 18 leagues, and to a varying degree, they are still kind of spread out. I mean, sure, you'd have to move one of the Houston teams out.
Get a couple more West Coast teams. They have like no West Coast teams right now.
No, I mean the XFL has like the furthest west teams, but like you could easily create better divisions. I think, but that's another show that you and I are going to do about expansion ideas. But I think it's trending in the right direction again. Their good part is they have the TV deals, so they're in a decent spot.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we just want to see these leagues grow, man. Got to be with them. So let's have a quick look here at week 3 before we wrap this up. So Breakers, Birmingham Stallions, that's a hell of a game. This has been a classic. Last year, every time these 2 teams played, it was really good. It is in Alabama, so, the old Stallions have the advantage there, of course. Gamblers for Showboat, somebody's going to finally get a win here. At least these guys are getting covered by the good networks, They got Peacock and Fox on the job, ABC. That's good.
Fox and ABC, I believe, share on their rights to the league, so that's why they have pretty good deals.
Perfect. And then Mahler's Stars, I predict the Stars are probably going to pull out another win here. Mahler's are just going to continue to struggle, it looks like. Panthers and Generals. We got some good games this week with 3rd week coming up here, Dan.
Yeah, no, I am excited for that New Jersey-Michigan game. I think that'll be probably one of the better games this week, for sure.
But Stallions Breakers. Who are you taking the Stallions Breakers?
I'll probably go Stallions.
Yeah, I mean, they are the favorite. I'm going to take the Breakers just to mix things up, Hopefully that defense can figure it out. They were very solid last year, so, if they play the same kind of game they played the Stallions last year, they're going to have a chance to win this. Dan, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here at Sports by Compian. Do you have any last words to say about the MLR, XFL, USFL, Ravens rugby, your general life in general. Tolson rugby.
I mean, we got football till June, so we got a lot of talk. So
good times. Oh yeah, and of course NHL hockey's going on. We'll see if we can cover that in a separate pod. It's exciting times in sports right now. Sorry, what was that, Dan?
I actually have the Wild Stars game on behind me right now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm kind of rooting for the old Stars in that one because of Mr. Sites. So hopefully they can get that series right. What's the series at right now?
2-2, and Dallas is up 3-0 in the second.
Let's go, baby. All right, Dallas, pull it out. Anyway, this has been Sports by Compian, on a motherfucking Tuesday, just out here doing our thing.